Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 9th of August, 2021. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, happy days, happy weekend with the ETH price going up. My beard's growing back too, so tracking the ETH price nicely there. It's been great, and I'm going to talk about that in a sec, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out here saying that we did the 7th AMA in the Daily Gwei Discord channel over the weekend. If you weren't able to attend, there is a recording now live on YouTube, so you can go check that out on the channel. It was really great AMA, lots of good questions. It's all timestamped, so you can go check it out there if you're interested in that. All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was all the regulation news that was going on over the weekend, or I guess like drama news, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's funny because I've got a few different kind of views on this. One, I actually think that the ecosystem at large is freaking out about this a bit too much. I don't think it's actually going to be like a death knell for crypto or anything like that, or going to kill crypto. And a lot of people are missing the fact that this kind of regulation or this law won't actually go into effect until 2023, and that means we've got plenty of time to kind of like change it, amend it, do whatever. Now, obviously, changing a law once it's already in place is a lot harder than stopping it in the first place, or at least amending it in the first place. And that's what a lot of the lawyers in this space have been working on. A lot of people in the US calling their senators, all that good stuff. But I think what's been funny to watch is like how much attention the crypto ecosystem has now been getting because of this infrastructure bill. Now, you need to remember that this infrastructure bill it hasn't got really anything to do with crypto at all. It's just some people trying to sneak in some regulations into this bill for crypto, and we found out the other day that it was actually Janet Yellen from the Treasury basically trying to regulate crypto through a backdoor via this infrastructure bill. But the core of this bill is for infrastructure for the United States, right? It's a $1 trillion bill or roundabouts that to fix kind of like, or at least to upgrade a lot of the infrastructure within the US. So the fact that the crypto part of it is what's holding the bill up from passing, and it's also what's getting the most attention, is quite insane. And I actually think it's quite bullish because it means that a lot of these publications that haven't covered crypto before, such as Politico that you can see in my tweet here, are now covering it and basically saying, wow, okay, we didn't realize crypto was such an active and vibrant industry. And that's the same with all these politicians. They thought that crypto was still this fringe thing that only a few people cared about. But in reality, a lot of people care about this. Like literally millions of people care about crypto now and care about it, how the regulation affects it. And they're really rabid about it as well. So I think that at this point in time, we've firmly entered the geopolitical arena. I've been saying it for a couple months now on the Refuel, especially since the El Salvador news, saying that crypto has entered the geopolitical kind of sphere. It's going to become much, much bigger in both kind of like, the price is obviously going up. I believe that's going to happen. I also believe that it's going to become bigger in terms of like more people going to be involved here, but also the more kind of like regulatory scrutiny we're going to get and all that sorts of stuff. And the more that people want to regulate us, the more the governments are going to want to regulate our industry. But on the flip side, we basically get like all the extra attention as well, which I always think is really bullish because like I come from a marketing background. Obviously, I worked in marketing for SET. A lot of you will know that. So whenever I kind of see something getting attention, even if it's like quote unquote bad attention, I still think it's good because it's an old saying, right? No attention is bad attention because you're still getting attention from on your kind of like project or kind of like what you're doing, and that's why there's a lot of like drama and outrage is because that garners attention. Even though it's quote unquote bad attention, it's still good overall because the way I like to think about it is, okay, well, say, 1,000 people see something you're talking about and 900 of them think it's bullshit and move on. Well, you just have 100 people now that don't think it's bullshit, buy into what you're selling and essentially check it out that you didn't have before. So essentially, that's why the saying goes, no attention is bad attention. And that's the same here with crypto, where, yes, crypto is getting attention because of like these bad regulations that are going in or whatever. And some people might think it's crap that the crypto's holding up the infrastructure bill and that our industry is like a joke or just like a fringe thing and we don't matter. But at the end of the day, we have shown that we matter. We have shown that we are much bigger than what they think we are. And that is leading to all of this attention now and all of these politicians and everything around this. Like all of the reporters, the mainstream media, all of the people that work with these politicians, like they're all realizing now that the crypto industry is not just some small thing that they could forget about and that they could ignore. It is actually really, really big. And I think Janet Yellen, she knows this, and that's why she's trying to regulate it, in that she sees like how disruptive this technology can actually be, especially on the finance side. And obviously, being in government, they love control, right? They love getting control over things. So she's trying to kind of sneak these things through the back door through this infrastructure bill. But we've come along and we've said, well, no, we're not going to just let you sneak this in. We're much bigger than you thought we were, and we're a force to be reckoned with. And I'm really happy to see that playing out. I'm sure there's going to be other countries that try to regulate crypto through bullshit kind of like this. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen in Australia. It's going to happen in Europe. It's going to happen in pretty much every Western kind of democracy. And it's already happened in China, right, where they've cracked down on it in various ways, and other parts of Asia are also thinking about it too. So you just kind of and it's funny because even India had their I guess flirting with banning it, but they're not banning it, and then guess regulating it via the banks and stuff like that. So each country is going to have its own approach to it. But I think the more this ecosystem grows and the more that crypto becomes ingrained in people's lives, it's going to be much, much harder for governments to just say, okay, well, we're banning it, or we're going to stop this from happening, or we're going to regulate it heavily. Because what ends up happening is that the people that are in that country that are involved in crypto, especially the builders, they're going to be like, well, screw this, I'm leaving, right? I'm taking all of the revenue, all of the economic growth, everything that I would have generated for this country, I'm going to take it elsewhere. And that is what the, for example, the US does not want. If anything, they do not want that happening because they're already acutely aware that they have stiff competition from places like China. I mean, if you look at the geopolitical sphere there, China's economy from memory, I think, is already bigger than the US's, and the US seems to be lagging. So if they kick out crypto from their economy and they force people to kind of move out, they're going to lose a big chunk of what is the future of the financial system, and that is just one part of it. I mean, there's gaming, there's obviously the NFT stuff, there's DeFi, DAOs, all the kind of stuff, Web3, all that sort of stuff. If you kind of regulate it too harshly and you kick it out, well, then what ends up happening is that you give the other countries the opportunity to kind of embrace that and become those hubs. And I think that's what I guess what's funny with the US is that they didn't regulate the web, too harshly back when the internet was kind of coming to prominence. And that's why you see all of these massive web-based companies, internet-based companies are in the US, because it wasn't regulated too heavily. They didn't kill the golden goose before it laid the golden eggs. Now, if they put this kind of regulation in and they stick to it and they keep heavily regulating it, well, they're just going to lose out on that economic growth. And I know you've heard this a million times, but I think it's critically important to remember that is something that we should be harping on about, especially if you're in the US and you're calling your senators. You should be saying this to them. You should be telling them, this is going to be great for the American economy. Why are you regulating this so heavily? There are ways to regulate it and then the ways they aren't. And of course, they always use we're doing it because people are avoiding taxes or whatever. And I always laugh at that because it's yes, okay, people are avoiding taxes, but you shouldn't regulate the entire industry to catch those people. You have the tools to catch those people. You should fund the IRS if you want, give them more money to go catch these people if you want to do that. Everything is totally transparent on the blockchain. You have regulations already at the fiat on-ramps and off-ramps like the centralized exchanges and other services. There is no reason to stifle the entire industry if your goal really is to catch the tax cheats at the end of the day. So I'm going to end my little mini rant there for today, but I just kind of wanted to say how I think this is just insanely bullish for crypto overall because of all the attention that we're getting, and crypto being in the kind of geopolitical arena and being, so prominent within politics now is actually really, really great for this ecosystem. I think it means that we've kind of crossed over from being viewed as a toy to being viewed as something that should be taken seriously, and more of these politicians will become convinced that this is going to be just as big, if not bigger, than the internet, and they'll be able to look back and say, okay, well, what would have happened if we banned the internet, or if we heavily regulated the internet back in the day? Would we be where we are today? And the answer is a resounding no. There would not have been the Googles, there would not have been the Apples and Amazons and Facebooks and Twitters and all that in the US. They would have, those entrepreneurs and those builders would have gone elsewhere, and they would have founded their companies in other countries, and then those countries would have lost the US would have lost their economic growth to those countries. So as long as we keep harping on about that and we keep showing that there's real kind of merit to this technology, it's not just all pump and dump scams everywhere. Yes, there is a lot of that, but there was a lot of that in the internet, and there still is, where there's a lot of scams going on. In any new industry, there's always scams. But I think just showing these politicians that we're here and we're not going to lay down and take this, and we're a force to be reckoned with, is the path forward. So I'm going to end that there for now. A bit more, talk about the ETH price and kind of what's happening now. I think I think a lot of people kind of realized over the weekend that 1559 was not priced in. And I kept harping on about this, like on the refuel, and not just with 1559. I've said many, many times before that I think that nothing is ever priced in when it comes to crypto, because it is impossible for things to be priced in when it comes to crypto. The amount of information asymmetry in this space is absolutely insane. And what I mean by that is that if you're listening to me on the refuel every day, you have more information about the Ethereum ecosystem than 99.99% of people in the world, and more information about the Ethereum ecosystem than most people do in crypto. Like they may already be in crypto, but they're not watching the refuel every day. I mean, I get like what, a couple thousand views per video, I think a few hundred on the podcast and whatever. Like really, you're the minority when it comes to this industry in terms of keeping up to date and realizing the impact of these things. 1559, for example, I talked about for like months, years on the Into the Ether podcast, that we would be burning a lot of ETH when it went live, right? Because of the fact that if you do a 70% estimation on the fee the fee revenue being burnt based on the fees that we were generated over the last year or so, this is how much ETH would be being burned. And then I had people coming to me, and I had people replying to my tweets and talking about it on Twitter, saying, "Wow, I didn't realize this much ETH was going to get burned. This is incredibly bullish. I'm going to buy ETH." It's like, what? This is so insane to me. The fact that this had been public knowledge for so long. Like, everyone saw the fees. Everyone felt the fees. Everyone knew the fees were high. Like, I don't understand what they thought was going to happen, that we weren't going to burn those fees. And people, knew about 1559. It was talked about all the time. And you still had people saying that. I mean, even some hardcore Ethereans that I know said this, and I'm just like, wow, like this is just so like crazy. And I'm going to talk about that point in a second. Another tweet that I've got here, but just on the 1559 note for a second, I actually put out a similar tweet to this a few months ago, maybe a year ago, where I had like ETH's key value accrual pillars, to unlock. And trustless SOV, I had a tick next to because it was unlocked. Trustless store of value, collateral asset as part of DeFi. We had unlocked that because DeFi was big, it was getting bigger and all that sort of stuff. I had a clock countdown next to staking because we hadn't unlocked staking yet, and then I had a countdown next to 1559 as well. Now, given that the other remaining two have gone live now, obviously staking in December, 1559 last week, we now have ETH's 3 core value accrual pillars unlocked, and that is so stupidly bullish. Like, I don't even think people realize, like, we have more ETH going into staking every day. There's 6.7 million locked there. DeFi is growing all the time, more ETH being locked up in DeFi, and we have thousands of ETH being burned each day at current kind of like, I guess, fee levels. And to be honest, if the market keeps heating up and keeps getting bigger and bigger, the fees are going to skyrocket again. It's going to go to 100 Gwei plus, and we're going to be burning so much ETH that people won't know what the hell has hit them. Like, we're going to be deflationary in a lot of the blocks on Ethereum. And then I added on to my tweet here that we're going to soon bring all of these pillars together in what is the ultimate kind of, I guess, value accrual, I guess, not pillar, because I think there's only 3 pillars, but like value accrual, part of Ethereum, and that is what is called the triple halvening or the merge, right? The ETH1 to ETH2 merge. This is at least 100 times more bullish than 1559. And if you think that I've been bullish about 1559, just wait until the merge gets closer and closer. I'm going to be screaming it from the rooftops, because the triple halvening refers to the fact that the new ETH being issued as part of the protocol issuing ETH to secure itself is going to drop instantly by 90%. As soon as we do the merge, which is an instant thing, like literally, we're going to go from, okay, the Ethereum chain is being secured by proof of work, and then bam, merge. Okay, now the Ethereum chain is being secured by proof of stake. So it's just literally one block difference, and issuance instantly drops 90%. Sell pressure pretty much drops by that amount, right? Because the fact that the issuance going to miners needs to be sold a lot of the time for electricity, hardware, maintenance cost, all that sort of stuff. So not only are we dropping issuance, but we're also removing that kind of like sell pressure immediately from the market, which is going to cause, like, I think, a sell-side liquidity crisis for ETH, because a lot of the ETH that gets bought up does belong to miners at the end of the day, because they're the ones generating the new ETH, right? It's not, yes, holders and speculators will be selling, but the float of ETH is actually quite low, and I'll get into that in a sec as well. But really, like, and I said here, y'all aren't ready, because, I mean, I don't think anyone is ready for this. Like, I really still think that people don't realize the fact that the triple halvening is coming, and they actually thought that, some people thought that the triple halvening was part of 1559, which is even more bullish, because if 1559 has done this to the price already, and if we keep going from here, I'm going to attribute it to 1559, to be honest. then imagine what the triple halvening is going to do. It's just absolutely insane to me that so few people know about this, and it's such a large impact on, I guess, like the ETH issuance. And on top of that, the merge doesn't actually include withdrawals from the beacon chain. So no one that has been staking is going to be able to withdraw their ETH at the merge. It's probably going to take a little while. I'm seeing estimates from anywhere from 1 to 3 months for withdrawals to come in. So we're going to have like this 1 to 3 month golden period where no ETH that's been issued or locked up in staking or fees being paid to stakers, the ones that aren't burnt, none of that is being sold. Absolutely nothing. So the only available supply on the market for ETH is going to be speculators. Most of it is speculators, right? Traders and things like that, and then any holders that are cashing out because either they've been, they're long-term or short-term holders. Doesn't matter, but that's a very small part of it. So the free floating supply of ETH on exchanges and just like available for sale or whatever is going to be absolutely tiny. And that, I think, is the reason why it is 100 times more bullish to 1559. But then the fact is, we still have 1559, right? We have staking, the trustless SOV, collateral asset, and 1559 all brought together with this triple halvening event. Man, like I don't know what to tell you guys. Like I'm trying not to be too bullish here, but holy crap! Like if people didn't realize how much ETH was being burned with 1559, they're not going to realize how much ETH is going, how much the issuance is dropping by once the merge goes through. So yeah, I'm going to stop there on that tweet because there's other tweets I wanted to go through. This is the one where I was saying I put a tweet out saying some people had no idea that 1559 was going to burn this much ETH. Imagine what they're going to imagine how many people actually understand what's going to happen with the triple halvening. I'm going to wager it is like a few thousand people at most. And I wouldn't even say that they actually understand the implications of it. They may understand that it's coming, but the actual implications of it, I don't believe they actually understand that. And then the next tweet here, Eric, my co-founder of ETH, put out a great tweet where he said 1559 has already cut the ETH yearly inflation rate from 4.2% to 2.6%. Once the merger happens in a few months and proof of stake is live, this will be a negative number at current ETH burn. We will be net deflationary. And Ethereum will be secure while ETH is net deflationary, and this will be the best crypto monetary policy that exists and has ever existed, which I think is just... Seriously, people really, as DC investor here, people seriously aren't ready. Like, this entire space is about to be upended by this. Like, literally. I can't wait for this. This isn't even far away. This is Q1 2022, most likely. This is like 8 months away. Or, if it goes longer than that, maybe Q2. But I'm pretty confident in Q1. But, you never know with these kind of things. And then the next thing here, I'm talking about like the free floating supply on exchanges. Krugman here, who's an active trader, said, I think looking at ETH burned as a percentage of the entire market cap misses the potential impact on price. What drives price is float, which is a much smaller number than the entire market cap. The burn happening right now could impact the float 10 times more than realized, assuming the float is 10% of the total ETH supply. And what this means is basically that it's funny because a lot of the fee revenue or at least the fees before 1559 that were going to miners was probably being sold, right? So if you take away that fee revenue and burn most of it, not only is it not being sold, but it's also being removed from the ETH supply. Like, that's going to have a massive impact on the free float that's available for buying or selling on the market, which is absolutely huge. I don't know if the float is 10%. I did have a look at some on-chain data, and I saw that in the last 6 months, I think it was, I may have tweeted it in reply to Krugman here. I said 13% is what's on centralized exchanges, but in the last 3 months, only 16% of the supply has actually moved on-chain. So if you count like in the last 3 months of movement as the free float supply, only 16% of the ETH supply is actually moved on-chain and probably actually available for sale at this point in time. Because even if exchanges move ETH out of cold storage because they need more for market makers or whatever, or people are withdrawing to sell or whatever, that is realized on-chain. So it is an on-chain movement of ETH, and that'll be reflected in the data I looked at. So that, again, is incredibly bullish there. And on the phone, I think this is the final note about 1559. Oh, I got a couple of other things, but I know one of the last notes here is from Justin Drake, who updated his spreadsheet here for his projections on ETH supply. So he's still projecting 120 million ETH supply peak, 11 years to reach 100 million ETH. So that means that at current like fee revenue, we'll burn 20 million ETH in 11 years. I mean, I know that seems like a long time, but 20 million ETH being burned, like that's a massive amount of the supply, right? 12% temporary APR at the merge, 6% long-term APR with 45 million ETH staked, and 7 million ETH a year sell pressure reduction. So I mean, as I was just saying, the free float is a very small percentage, and the free float, a lot of it comes from the miners, right? Because they have to sell to cover costs and all that sorts of stuff. So once the merge happens and everything like that, we're going to reduce the issuance by 90%. The costs are going to be reduced by 99% for stakers, and the only reasons that stakers are going to be selling is one, just pure profit taking if they want to, I guess, take the profits of what they've earned in rewards, or maybe the ETH price has gone up a lot and they're profit taking. Two is taxes. Of course, like they're going to be selling a portion for taxes because the income generated via staking is taxed as taxable income. And third, to cover the limited costs that they have. Like really, it's a very small cost. Like maybe, I don't know how much it is for every person in the world. It depends on a variety of factors, but maybe a couple $100, over a year or something like that. It's something really low compared to proof of work. So there's that, and you can check out this spreadsheet. It'll be linked in the YouTube description. And there's also this kind of like a leaderboard I love to look at on the Ultrasound Money website, where it shows you kind of like the leaders in ETH being burned over the last 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, etc. And a lot of these random NFT projects that are kind of launching these days are accounting for a lot of the fee burn. You can see here that Space Poggers accounted for 570 ETH burned over the last 24 hours from when I tweeted this, which was, I think, earlier in the day today. And then Crypto Zunks, another one here, 200 ETH burned. Obviously, you got your usual suspects in here, like OpenSea and Uniswap and Axie Infinity and stuff like that. But the fact that we have this leaderboard now is really cool, because no longer do we, no longer is like, I guess, one of these things clogging the Ethereum chain, like all bad. Now we actually get something out of it, which is ETH being burned. And finally, on Token Terminal, I love this kind of chart they have here, where you can see how much ETH is being burned as protocol revenue and how much is going to miners in terms of fee revenue. And you can see here that about 75% is being burned, whereas 25% is going to miners, which was basically the projections that Justin Drake had come up with before 1559 went live. So he was pretty accurate there. That's pretty cool to see that as well. But I think that is it for 1559 stuff. Yes, it is. I'm going to move on to some other updates. I think this is going to be a long refuel. A lot happened over the weekend. It was crazy. But anyway, I put out this tweet where I said it was very nice to see this continued trend of growth from Optimism. Now, this is measuring Optimism's daily fee revenue. So the actual fees being paid on the Optimism network by people using it, mainly to trade on Uniswap V3 and to use the synthetic exchange or to do staking on synthetics and things like that, because those are the only two major apps live right now. But you can see here the steady growth up. I mean, it was kind of like, until they launched Uniswap V3 and the synthetic exchange, it was kind of, growing a little bit in July, but still a bit flat. And then we had like this explosion of growth recently, especially because the market heated up as well, right? Like that's going to account for a lot of this. But you can see here just how crazy it is. I mean, on the other day, I think Optimism generated, $50,000 in fee revenue. That was more than most of the Ethereum killers, on the sheet. If you go to cryptofees.info on the website, you'll be able to see this. So I'm just loving this continued growth here. And on the note of layer 2s, Arbitrum put out an update, I guess, like over the weekend as well, where they said that over 400 projects have now been approved to deploy to their Arbitrum 1 mainnet here, with dozens of them have successfully completed the deployments, and Arbitrum is going to be open to the public in August. And unfortunately, it wasn't in July. I have to eat my hat, but I'm not going to eat my hat, like for obvious reasons. But anyway, I don't know if this is going to be August 31st. How many days are actually in August? Is it 30 or 31? I don't even know. Yeah, it's 31 days. Check my calendar. So it's 31 days. Is it going to be August 31st? Is it going to be this week? Is it going to be next week? Who knows? They said that it's coming in August. Now, Arbitrum has actually been pretty good with their dates and meeting their deadlines. They met their deadline for the developer mainnet, which was end of June, and for them to say that they're confident they're going to be able to deploy in August, I think that you can basically take this as gospel. Like, I really do think they're going to launch in August. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, well, we have to delay it to October or something like that. So, don't know when in August. They've left that open, of course, but, this is going to be awesome. I just cannot wait for this to go live, because Optimism's awesome, and I love using Uniswap v3 on there, and I've played around the synthetic exchange. But Arbitrum is going to have much more apps available than Optimism does from the get-go. So that's going to be really awesome to see, like, how fast an ecosystem can spin up on there, because we've seen it happen on like BSC, and then even more on the Polygon's POS chain. When you have a vibrant ecosystem of all these apps working together, the users come very quickly, and they also a lot of liquidity comes very quickly as well. So, and there's going to be exchanges that support Arbitrum as well. OKX already announced it. I'm sure Coinbase is going to support them and things like that. So having direct bridges into Arbitrum is just going to be absolutely amazing, and I just honestly can't wait to see their kind of ecosystem go live and to have people playing in there and to see all the liquidity happen. It could be DeFi Summer 2.0, right? Like, you have like Layer 2 Summer, DeFi Summer. I mean, it's almost the end of summer in the Northern Hemisphere right now, but maybe it's like summer every time, right? Like, now it's just forever summer. Every kind of like day is summer if you try, just for the narrative, right? But yeah, really, really cool to see that from Arbitrum, and I just cannot wait to see them go live. So Zapper is teasing that you're going to be able to show off your NFTs as your wallet avatar. So if you use Zapper, you'll know that you get a little wallet avatar on the. It's like a default thing on the on the kind of like the next to your like EXP bar and next to your address and everything like that. Seb from Zapper is teasing that you'll be able to kind of like choose any NFT that you own. So you have to own it. So, you know, he says here, right click save won't bring you far on Zapper because you won't be able to change your avatar to anything that you don't own. So obviously everyone with CryptoPunks is going to be flexing their CryptoPunks as their avatar on Zapper and things like that, which I think is just really cool. And you'll be able to kind of like, you won't be able to show it off just yet, but like I'm sure they've got other plans here, Zapper, for kind of, I guess, making the whole process more social and things like that. But I'm sure you'll be able to take screenshots and stuff like that and whatever. But yeah, I just thought this was really cool, and I just can't wait to be able to set my my avatar as one of the NFTs I own. I think that's just a really awesome way to get people more involved with things and you know, get them coming back to Zapper as well. So speaking of NFTs, Christie's announced another auction here of CryptoPunks. So they have, I think there's about maybe, how many CryptoPunks are for sale? Maybe 6 right now. I don't actually know how many there are, but yeah, they're auctioning off a bunch of CryptoPunks again. I think there's a zombie punk in there, which I guess would be the rarest one in there. I think it's this one here, as you can see in the picture. But yeah, I mean, this is just another, I guess, like big Christie's auction that's happening. Actually, there we go. That's the 6 there on the screen, if you can see that. Oh, sorry guys. There you go. You can see it on the screen now. So there's a 6 punks that are being auctioned off here. There's a hoodie one as well. Hoodies are actually very expensive. They go for more than $500,000. Zombies go for millions of dollars, right? And then a bunch of top hats and 3D glasses, which are pretty rare. But, you know, this is a pretty varied and nice collection here. I mean, this is going to go for millions of dollars, of course. But yeah, just more attention from, I guess, the traditional art world with Christie's. Pretty cool to see that. This is something that I missed actually a week ago from Prismatic Labs, where they detailed in this blog post a bunch of changes coming to Prylabs V2. So, sorry, Prysm V2. So this is the first major version bump to the Prysm client since they released the mainnet ready version. There's a few things that people will need to be aware of. You know, you'll need to update your nodes in preparation for the Altair hard fork, which is going live soon as part of, I guess, the Beacon chain kind of like forking to upgrade. The V2 will be available at least a week in advance. So if you're running the Prysm client, you should definitely upgrade. You know, there's some stuff for developers in here. If you're using the slasher feature, which is a feature for which is a piece of software that you can run to basically slash people on ETH2, it's going to be deleted, and it instead will become a feature enabled by a flag in your Beacon node, and they'll be deleting deprecated flags and code as well. So I mean, there's a bunch more info in this post here. Prylabs is generally very thorough with their updates, which I really enjoy, because there's just like a ton of info in here. So if you're running the Prysm client, definitely check out this blog post to get all the information you need about the V2 change and like what it means for you at the end of the day. And speaking of ETH2 and staking, Colfax here put out a great little tweet thread where he said some steps to increasing the Beacon chain client diversity in no particular order. Now, you remember I talked about Beacon chain client diversity, I think last week, and maybe even like before that on a refuel. And what this means is basically there's 4-5 major clients right now that work with ETH2, and unfortunately Prysm accounts for 70-80% of the entire network, when in reality we would want that to be much lower, and we want the other clients to be a better percentage of the network. So Colfax has given a few steps here where he says, you know, get good data on the distribution and educate people about it, like I guess that's what I've been doing, right? I've been trying to educate people to switch off Prysm if you're using it, and switch to another validated client because it's better for network health and decentralization. The clients need UIs, right? They need good UIs to encourage people to switch. All clients should be added to DAppNode and Avado. There should be multi-client UIs built, standardized key management across all the clients, client switching tools so it becomes much easier for people to switch, and client packages through PPA, which is a Linux thing here. Now, he has a thread going through each of these points and breaking them down a bit further and giving more detail. I won't read out this whole thing, but you can check it out in the YouTube description. But yeah, my call again is that if you're running the Prysm client, please, if you are able to, change to something else. Just Lighthouse, whatever it is, Lighthouse, Nimbus, Teku, even like Lodestar, which is now available, change to anything else, because it's not that the Prysm client is bad. It's not that you changing over will kind of hurt that team or whatever. It's just that they want that as well. Like the Prylabs team wants like client diversity to be much healthier too, because at the end of the day, if the Prysm client had a bug in it, the ETH2 network would stop because there's just too much of these Prysm clients, holding up the network. So we do need that client diversity for that reason, but also to improve decentralization so that the Prysm team doesn't just become the de facto when it comes to ETH2. So yeah, just I'll link this in the YouTube description. You can go check that out. An interesting tweet from DC Investor over the weekend where he went through a few points about what gives art NFTs their value. Now, a bit of background on DC Investor for those who don't know. He is pretty much, I would consider, one of the best, if not the best, NFT investors in the space right now. He has called pretty much everything. He has so many of the most valuable NFTs. You can actually see them if you go to his gallery profile here, gallery.so/DC Investor. He has, if I just took a skim at it and I worked out the value off the top of my head, literally millions and millions of dollars worth of NFTs, but he did not buy them for millions and millions of dollars. He bought them back at the start of the year when everyone was saying, I don't get this, right? Especially when it comes to the art. And I was saying this too. I'm like, I don't get this at all because I don't really get art. And I'm just going to have fun staying poor because I didn't buy any of them and things like that. Even though I was talking to DC about this at the time, he was just very convinced at the time. He was just laser focused, being like, dude, like they're going to be worth a lot. I know they're going to be relevant. I love the art of it as well, because he always says that you should buy them if you like the art. And for me, I took that advice quite literally. I'm like, well, I don't like the art. I don't get it. I don't understand why anyone would buy this for a much higher price. So I'm just not going to buy them. Now, DC in this tweet, he basically says, well, here's a few of the reasons why. Artist reputation / potential. That's a big reason why people value these things. Relevance in the, I don't even know how to say this word. I don't even know what it means. God, someone's going to correct me in the YouTube comments. I know it, but I don't know what this word means. So sorry about that. I'm sure it's probably got something to do with art. Community collector-based quality as well. So if you have like a core group of collectors that really understand the value of this thing, it unironically makes it more valuable. Scarcity, exclusivity, that's CryptoPunks in a nutshell, basically. Mimetic quality as well. I mean, again, I think CryptoPunks falls into that, but there's a lot of other NFTs as well. Groundbreaking nature. Things like Euler beats, if you may have seen that, or Euler beats. I say Euler, but I think it's Euler. Euler beats, where it was basically music embedded into an NFT, and there was a few other kind of like properties to it as well. The degree to which it serves as a basis for derivative works, so basically being able to take, say, a CryptoPunk and turn it into something else as well, and historic relevance too. So these are just some of the reasons. I think I would say that there's more reasons out there, but really whenever DC Investor talks about NFTs, I listen now. He is just like so on the money with a lot of this stuff, and he really deeply understands it. I think he spends way more time in the NFT ecosystem than he does in the DeFi ecosystem these days, and he used to be really big into DeFi as well. So yeah, just a really great follow if you're not following him yet and you're interested, even if you're not interested in NFTs, just a general really great follow when it comes to anything Ethereum. So Nadav from Dharma is teasing an integration here with Polygon. So you'll be able to go directly from your bank account to Polygon, their POS chain, using Dharma. So for those who don't know, Dharma is a mobile app that you can download, and they basically sell themselves as the Ethereum wallet that connects to your bank. So essentially, I mean, this is, I think, only in the US. You can basically go straight from your bank account to DeFi, and that's kind of like their selling point here with using a nice little app on the App Store. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely go check Dharma out. But it's good to see them supporting Polygon, because I'm assuming they're going to be supporting other kind of like scalability solutions later on, like Optimism and Arbitrum and all that sort of stuff as well. So it's just great to see them kind of like supporting this relatively early on as well. So Connext here network introduced NXTP, which is a simple exchange transfer protocol. And what that means is basically NXTP is a generalized protocol for cross-chain transactions. Now the testnet, this is, as of today, it is on testnet and fully ready for developer integrations. You can kind of like see how it works in this blog post here. See how like Vector works as well, which is their other feature and everything like that. I won't read through the entire blog post here, but essentially, I mean, this is Connext is a bridging protocol. But again, I've said many times that I think bridges today, even though they're out there and they're maturing rapidly, they're still not what we want them to be. And this is what Connext is trying to do with this NXTP thing, is they're trying to make it better, more efficient, more effective for their bridge to be able to kind of like talk to different layer 2s, talk to different side chains and other chains and all that sort of stuff. So really great to see this release from them. Of course, you can go check out the entire blog post to get like a better look at kind of how this all works, you know, what's going on under the hood and stuff like that. And speaking of kind of bridges, StarkWare has also announced their, I guess, like bridge here, which they're calling a trustless sidechain to StarkX bridge secured by Ethereum. So you can basically transfer funds, I guess, from the Polygon POS chain to StarkX, which and being secured by Ethereum. The TLDR is that, I mean, as I've been saying, transferring funds between sidechains and L2s is a growing need. Current methods include going via layer 1 Ethereum, which is slow and expensive, of course, but it's trustless, or via an app or an LP, requires trust, yet fast and inexpensive. So StarkWare is proposing a trustless, secure, and inexpensive sidechain to StarkX bridge, which relies on Ethereum security. This is really important, I think. You know, again, you can read this post for seeing how this works, but I've been saying for a long time that if you have to touch Ethereum layer 1 to bridge between different things or be onboarded to layer 2, it's going to lock a lot of people out, because at the end of the day, I do believe fees are going to be high forever on layer 1. Even, you know, what's funny, even at the lowest point when fees were back at like 10 Gwei or 5 Gwei in like July, that was still not cheap enough. It was still too expensive for most people. So we need to be able to get people onto layer 2s, onto sidechains without having to touch Ethereum, but we do want to see if we can get them to inherit Ethereum security as well while doing that. And that's what StarkWare is proposing here with this kind of, I guess, this blog post, which you can go read and check out. I'm not going to run through the whole thing, obviously. I mean, there's a bunch of nice images here. They're very thorough as well with their updates and covering these sorts of stuff. But generally, they really do care about the trustlessness and the decentralization and making sure people get Ethereum security without the trade-offs. Get Ethereum security with the benefits as well for bridges. Otherwise, if you're bridging and you don't get Ethereum security, you're basically, I guess, losing out on that trustlessness, and you're getting a bit of a weaker security there. So yeah, definitely go check this out. But I think I'm going to end it there for today. It's been a long refuel, but thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Give that video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.